Hello, I'm Dan Feller, and I welcome you to this page about the Imagination IQ Gamification Summit, August 15th in Irvine, California, in Orange County. This is the page that's going to tell you everything you need to know about why you should come to the Gamification Summit put on by Imagination IQ. This is different than our epic event experiences. It's only one day. And in that day, we are going to share with you some tips, tricks, and our behind the scenes on how to put on a super gamified event, a workshop, a retreat, even telesummits and webinars as well. Creating content that's gamified actually helps your attendees learn it and apply it better when they leave your event. So I'm going to show you a few of the behind the scenes things that we've done at our events and that we're continuing to do with our board game, as well as our ongoing exercises that we do in our masterminds and workshops as well. So let's go ahead and get into it. So you guys have probably gone to hundreds and hundreds of events that kind of look like this. They're lines of chairs, or maybe chairs and tables, and we're looking one direction, looking at the backs of people's heads, and looking up towards a stage with a lectern or not, and a screen with PowerPoint. That's the traditional method. There's nothing wrong with this method, although if you're wanting to really teach people something, having them sit in a hotel chair, usually uncomfortable hotel chairs for long periods of time, is not conducive to learning. It's conducive to conveying content efficiently, but that doesn't mean that your attendees are actually absorbing it and really having a breakthrough and being able to apply it. They may have an aha moment here and there, but that doesn't mean they're having breakthroughs or transformation. The goal of an event is not just to convey information, it is to convey the means in which to have transformation. And a traditional event doesn't do that very well. So a lot of you are probably coming into this arena of training, speaking, educating, and events are a great way to create that, whether it's masterminds or high content, high concept events as well. So why not change that up and have an alternative? There hasn't really been an alternative out there, and that's why we created Imagination IQ, to mix this up. Let me talk with you about a few things that really make gamification work and sing for a live event or a webinar or a telesummit or online content, you name it. Any kind of workshop, basically any kind of content can be gamified. But I'm going to share with you a lot about events because a lot of you are getting into that. So you have to have the feel. What is the feel of the room? That with all those rows of chairs and such, the feel is kind of like, okay, it's a room. I've seen this before. Kind of drab, kind of basic, kind of square. So we want to change that feel up. We did this with Imagination IQ. And here's a shot of the room before we had it all set up for our very first inaugural event. And we have pipe and drape 360 around. We kind of have an enclosed chamber here, so it's very sacred space. So you're not distracted by anything else in the room. It doesn't matter what way you're facing, it's pipe and drape everywhere. There are no stages. Here's what it looks like after the fact. We had cool colored couches to go with our logo colors and pillows, and it looks pretty darn cool in there. Well, 360 pipe and drape around, and no matter where you sat, you're going to get a good view because it was in the round. There are no stages. The speakers spoke right from the middle. Creates an atmosphere of camaraderie. Creates an atmosphere and an environment that's conducive to getting to know people. You can actually see other people's faces, not just the backs of their heads, depending on where you are sitting in the room. That's why people love the VIP seating, is because they get to sit in the front and see the stage and see the people up there with not having any obstructions in front of them, like other people's heads. Well, we didn't really like this whole VIP thing. It's like, well, it's this whole battle of VIP and getting, those reserved seats. We thought it was a ridiculous gimmick. So we made it be in the round, so there's no best seat in the house. It's actually, everyone has a great seat in the house, and everyone can actually see, or I should say most people can see everyone else's eyes and actually look at them and see your reactions in the room instead of only having your own reaction or maybe the person sitting next to you. We also did this too in Irvine, and we took out the couches and we decided to go with beanbags, huge giant beanbags for everybody. And everybody loved them. They were just chilling. It's a place for conducive understanding and learning. It just makes it easy. So going outside the box of this, don't be afraid of going outside the box to be able to gamify. Use the colors. Use crazy stuff like blow-up dice, as you see in the picture here. Use cones. Use beanbags, or whatever it may be, to create an environment, the feel that people are like, oh, this is someplace I can relax, and this is someplace I can feel at ease. When people feel at ease, they are more likely to understand and even listen to the content you deliver. So let's talk about the flow. How does an event like this flow? How does content should flow like this? Whether it's with a board game, or whether it's with an event, or a teleseminar, or a webinar, whatever it may be, there's got to be a good flow. And the flow is not just content being shot out at like a fire hose. The flow is an interactivity going on with the people in the room. So as you see here, we have many exercises and get to know you and icebreaker things that required people to connect with other people they don't know. It was built into the exercise, meaning we made it fun. It's not like just go find somebody. We made it easy. We had people have different colored little squish ball brains, and they all had different colors. They're all the colors of our logo. And so if I had a blue brain and someone else had a yellow brain, my sheet may tell me, hey, find somebody with a yellow brain and ask them some of the questions that are on the sheet. As you see there, they've got clipboards and a little sheet, and they're finding information out about these people that they probably have never met before, because they're a different brain than they are. The whole point of our event is that everybody perceives things slightly different, but there are some universal truths that go through the whole process of using your brain effectively to have both your imagination and your IQ function at the same time. Now, that's our concept, but you can use this concept as well for any kind of content, so people can learn more about what they do. This is a great exercise, too, for a mastermind, not just having a 30-second commercial or a minute commercial saying, here's who I am, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm looking for. Great. Nobody's going to remember that 2 hours down the road. But with this sheet, they will. They will, and they will remember you by the color of your brain, in our example anyway. So using interactive exercises like this is very important. We're going to show you how to actually craft these and create these at the Gamification Summit, so you can apply these to your content or your events. We also do a lot of sketch drawing and drawing on the fly to be able to conceptualize a concept, okay? And so there's lots of things that we did during the events, but a lot of you do masterminds too, like low-key masterminds that are 15 people, maybe 20 people, maybe more. But being able to have conceptualization going on in the moment, not a preconceived PowerPoint presentation, but conceptualization in art form or in other means, is a powerful way for people to interact. So we actually had a live artist that came in and was doing art based on what was being talked about. So people can look at it and see in a nutshell, okay, the last 2 hours we talked about this, and it's all on the page there. Here happens to be the 6 steps to manifesting. Okay? And they can take a picture of that, like we did here. They can take a picture of that and be a reference note for them. They're more likely, if they're actively saying, I'm going to take a picture of it, they're more likely to look at that picture later and actually remember the content that was on it and associate it appropriately and be able to take action on it. That's the whole key. Giving a big binder full of stuff is wonderful, but if you don't have interactive elements within the confines and environment that you put out there, you're going to have some issues for application after the event, and that's the biggest issue. That is what we're going to teach you how to do, like when it is appropriate to do something like this, when to create exercises, how to create those things, and how to do them from scratch for every single piece of content you have, so that it not only opens up the neural pathways, but it also reinforces the transformation that you're bringing to bear. We also had movement exercises. We had it in both of our events, the last 2 events here. Very good. All these movements are there to anchor into your body the content that was either provided, or it's actually to open your body up to receive content that is on its way in the form of a lecture or a presentation. All right, let's talk about the fun. A lot of events I go to are just no fun. They're boring as hell. Let's just be honest. They're just boring as hell. And you're waiting through 1 day, 2 day, maybe 3 days for that one little morsel, that one network contact, maybe multiples, whatever, out of that event to make it worth your while. And it's sometimes a drudge. I mean, it really is. It's just not fun at all. For me, I mean, I want to have a little more experience going on and not content. Content is not king. Let me say that again. Content is not king. Content is actually the thing that this industry, our industry, has actually lied to you about, that content is king and that your content is valuable. It's not about the content. It's about context. The context is king. That is how you deliver your content. The way in which you deliver content is more important than the content itself. And this is where the fun comes into play. We did all sorts of crazy stuff. Like, we started thinking like a 5-year-old. Like, let's do bubbles. Let's do bubbles. And we just talked about living in a bubble, like popping your bubble and breaking out of the box, doing things out of the box. Well, we did bubbles. All the staff was flown around with these big bubble blower things or bubble wands, and people associated with the bubbles. And that instantly anchored into their psyche the content that was just talked about popping your own personal bubble and not being like an automaton, a robot in your industry and doing what everybody else is doing, but actually popping that bubble. And we did bubbles all over the place, big bubble blowers, and then the big bubble wands here as well. Live music. Here's the fun too. People are having fun getting up, dancing, singing, and communing via music. Music's one of those things that actually opens up all the neural pathways in the brain to either receive or to anchor in content that has been delivered. We're going to show you how the brain works in these circumstances, how we can use trigger objects like bubbles, like music, like other things as well, like squishy little brains that can actually create a trigger connection to your content. So your content is more valuable at that point. They actually remember it more without even looking at notes or looking at a workbook. They remember it because of the experience, the fun they have. And ultimately, it just looks cool. Making it look cool and having fun in a process. Look at everybody's eyes in this photo. Like everybody's head. Everybody's head is facing where the speaker is. And it happens to be me in this shot. They're facing there. You're going to increase the content value, and also you're going to increase the attention span of your audience by doing gamification. And at the Gamification Summit, we're going to teach you how to do this effectively so you can increase attention, increase the value of your content, and create a context that the delivery platform is so welcome and people are going to be engaged and be able to apply the content to their experience after your event. So here's the function. Why do we do all this stuff? Well, people like to express themselves. They really, really do. They love to express themselves. And so by giving them the opportunity to express themselves, even though they don't know your content yet, it opens them up to trusting you. Yeah, you're giving them an opportunity to speak, and it doesn't necessarily mean with their mouth. They're expressing themselves, their feelings, their emotions, the way they view the world in exercises. This exercise happened to be, I asked them, hey, I want you to draw the ecosystem that you see yourself living in right now, your ecosystem of your business. What does it look like? How does it feel? Express that with crayons and pens and pencils. Express that however you want. There are no rules to this. And they went at it. It was great. Later on in the event, we came back to these and we said, okay, now, how does this look now? Is this still accurate? And if not, you need to alter it. And they start altering the image. All of them did. So what they're doing is they're self-selecting. They are actually choosing to alter their perception of things from the start of the event to the end of the event. you have actually causing transformation, and they feel it, they see it, and they are expressing it through this piece of art form, through the crayons. What that is doing neurologically is actually setting them up to be ready to work with you, because they go, wow, Dan took me from point A to point Z in this event. Where can he take me next? And that's where your programs, your packages come in. That's why gamification events like this are very profitable and can be very profitable. And we're going to teach you these elements and these strategies as well. We also have, board games. Those of you who are interested in creating tangible board games that have fun, they have a function, but they are actually exuding and bringing in your content. Yeah, they're bringing in your content through the means of a fun, interactive game. So they are not only learning about you, learning about your processes, but learning about each other too. And at least with the board game, they can also take it home with them. We're going to show you some tips and tricks on if you're looking for that way to create a board game. We also do VIP days just for people to actually work out all the logic and all of the flow for a hard copy board game like this for your own content. We've gotten really, really good at this. So we can do that as well. But we're also going to be playing this game, our game, the Imagination IQ game, so you can see it functioning in real time at the Gamification Summit. So you can see if a board game like this is something that's right for you to actually go on and actually create for your content and your people. So as you can see, lots of fun. They in the round, people, all these blow up dice everywhere. And all the colorful things that we've drawn and created and are stuck up on the pipe and drape. That is the beauty of a workshop environment mixed with a high-level training education platform. That's context that fun and games and just like we're into it, and music. It created an atmosphere where people didn't want the event to end. That's rare. Most people are like, oh, I'm so exhausted by the end of an event. This one, people were like, I wish I could take your event home with me. I got that a lot. So the finish. What happens to these people after an event that's full of gamification? How about what happens after a webinar or a telesummit or any kind of mastermind event that has gamification included in it? Well, you're going to get great testimonials, one, and you're also going to have camaraderie built. You're going to build strategic alliances. I mean, that's what masterminds are all about anyway, to build JV partners, to build strategic alliance partners. And guess what? Here's all of these women who happen to have all the green brains. I told you about all the different color brains we had. They all had green brains. Well, they stuck together. They didn't know each other before this event. I don't think any of these people knew each other before the event. And lo and behold, now they all know each other, and they kind of became their own little unit because they likened themselves because they're all green brains. And all the yellow brains did the same thing, and the orange brains and the purple brains, etc. But this is a great shot to show, we want to memorialize the fact that we're all green brains. And I know for a fact that many of these women here are actually doing business with each other as well, creating success at multi-layers of your event. And when people have an experience that causes them to be liked, known, and trusted, guess what? They revert back to who put that event on? Oh, well, Dan Fowler and the Imagination Institute did. Wonderful. Well, they can do the same thing with you. You're going to get a lot of good press and a lot of good referrals coming your way because of the gamification experience that you provide. Also with the board game, great experiences with people. People get to know each other on a smaller scale, but you can use these as a powerful tool to be able to bring in new business, to bring in new awareness to things that you're doing. Actually, a lot of people from this event that we played the board game came to Imagination IQ, the big event. So we use them as lead generation tools. Lots of ways to do that. That too, we're going to teach you how to do at the Gamification Summit in August. So fun and games. People were bouncing these things around. Look at their faces. Just take a minute and look at the faces of everybody there. There's nobody there with a frown on their face. Maybe a concentration look, but everybody is just enjoying themselves to the fullest and knocking those things around and just loving the experience. This has nothing to do with the content, but I can tell you people remember this, and it's a hook point. People who didn't come wanted to experience that, knocking balls around and knocking inflatable dice around. They wanted to experience that. And at the same time, they wanted to find out what all the hubbub was. What was this power of Imagination IQ? They're going to want to know the same thing about your events and your content too, if you're able to gamify effectively. So, like I said, our Gamification Summit, August 15th, 2015 in Irvine. This is the page for you to sign up for that. It's really easy, guys. It's only $27 for general admission. It's a one day. It's only one day. August 15th is a Saturday in Irvine. Come on down for the day. Learn from the masters. We've got some great speakers. We've got Matt Browning. We've got David Fagan. Matt Browning, by the way, is an NLP master. David Fagan he's got Icon Media. He is a PR marketing guru. We've got myself, of course. And we've got Brian Kelly, who's going to be talking about the way in which you can persevere and actually use your perseverance to actually monetize as well. David Fagan's going to talk about, well, when you have those great ideas, how do you convert them and leverage them to have into power plays? Matt's going to talk about your mindset and how your mindset can change everything. And of course, I'm going to share the context of gamification and how you can apply that to every single bit of content that you produce. So people in your tribe can actually engage your content better, learn more, and be able to apply it better. And that makes you look even better too. When they succeed, and they succeed faster because of gamification, they're going to keep coming back to you as repeat clients. And that's what we all want too, right? So I'm Dan Farrell, the Imagination Engineer. I hope to see you at the Imagination IQ Gamification Summit on August 15th in Irvine in Orange County, California. Go ahead and click on the button on this page to get your tickets for $27. We have a limited space, so make sure you pick up those tickets today.